Whew, I had to take a nap. I've been a very, very busy boy. Today, we don't have three, but that's okay. I needed just a little bit of a break. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest. It's not Zebra Week, but we're still bringing in the zebras. It's Ref Charlie Cayce. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, the fans. Ref Charlie Cayce.
Great to see you, man. It was two.
It's man, it's been a while since I've seen you. We've been through a very weird scene. We are in a very odd time in the world right now. First off,
You're,
yourself and the family, everybody good?
yeah. I hope you got enough toilet paper.
Oh, I got a guy. I ain't worried about toilet paper.
Good.
Right
now, worried about staying healthy, staying socially distant to protect the older people, and just eating healthy food, staying away from pitfalls like drugs and alcohol, which weaken your immune system. Just trying to stay healthy so I can do what I love to do more than anything in the world, and that's to get in the ring and be a referee.
Well, when we talk wrestling, I always see you smile. You love wrestling. You've been a fan for quite some time, possibly longer than I have. I don't know, but we might dive into that in a little bit. Now, referee Charlie Cayce, kind of newer on the scene, if you will, getting a few matches under his belt, trying to make his moves, if you will, as being one of the fine zebras, because we like to talk to everybody. It's not just about wrestlers that make that whole magic happen inside the ring. Ring announcers, we've had Matt DeCourt on here and Mark Haggerty and Shane Fair. We had Zebra Week with Ref Blue Shoes and El Ref, and I don't even want to mention Bill Thompson. Let's not mention Ref Bill. Let's just bypass him. We've had Ref Quinn and Ref Miggy, and the list goes on and on. Now, excuse me, sir?
And Will Dogen?
We have Ref Will Dogen. The fans like to call him McLovin. I think that's pretty fun. I never even knew that until I actually had him on the show. I think we have a lot of fun at the shows.
Does he kind of look like that character from that movie? That's just a little bit.
So, Ref Charlie Cayce, you come from a different spectrum of the wrestling end, and I want to dive into that first because that's how I met you. You were actually at, let's see, the very first time I met you, and I hope you can remember this, you were doing the picture thing. You were jotting down notes and stuff, and it was at a very small place called the Sons of Italy in Torrington, Connecticut. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, Torrington, Connecticut. That was a Dissension Pro Wrestling show.
Look at you, man. Holy cow. Yeah, it was a Dissension Pro. I've had JJ Alexander on here. We've had some fun with him. I've had so many people on here, man, and we've had such a great time. But yeah, it was a DPW show, and you came up to me, what's your name and all of that. We kind of met then, and I didn't realize that I would see you so often at so many shows. You go to them all pretty much. How did you get into doing the picture thing in wrestling?
Well, come around 2014, I'd had a major surgery, and I couldn't work out really anymore at that point. I sort of had to quit lifting weights for a while, and I really felt lost out of sorts. So I was driving down the road in Hadley to work, and I saw a sign for a wrestling show in Hadley at right down the street, and from where I'm at now. And it's the Legion, at the Legion, American Legion. And so I went. It was a new age old-time wrestling show. And I'm like, I got to check this out, man. I haven't watched live wrestling since the early days in Alabama. I went to a few shows with Southeast Championship Wrestling at the Boutwell Auditorium in Birmingham as a teenager. So I hadn't been to a live wrestling show in a lot of years. So man, I got to check this out. So I went to New Age. Didn't have my camera with me the first time I went. Got there early, and guess who was in front of me? Take a wild guess who was standing in front of me while I was waiting in line at that show.
In front of you? Let's see. Fogman.
Nope. Larry.
I'm bad.
Larry.
Wake up, Larry.
Of course, Larry. Larry was there. He was standing there. He was the first in line, and I was second or third in line, and there was a guy there had a reproduction WWE belt. I mean, you guys see that there was definitely some fandom going on in the area. So I went into the show. I didn't have my camera with me, but I had my camera with me at the next show. I'll tell you that. And started with the photos. You know, I didn't even have the nerve to go up close to the ring yet. I would do them from my seat. And then a lot of those I never even published. They just look terrible, really. But they're like first photos, you know, and I was doing something that, like, you know, because I grew up reading the old wrestling mags, like Wrestling Scene and Wrestling Hero and Villains and Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And I always, like, wished I could have been that guy, you know, up by the ring with the camera doing all the pictures. I mean, you know, from the time I was reading those mags as a teenager. And so I started doing the pics. And then about a year after that, I went to a show in Springfield at the Molina Shriners. I think it was, I can't remember if it was William King III or AJ Cruz who put it on, but it was like a one-shot indie show, and that's what the first Ernest K. Fabian was, and that's when I started doing the match reports. Now, I was doing my own match reports, kind of fantasy reports for years. I have a notebook, I'll show it to you sometime, of just results of non-existent wrestlers. And I created like my own roster, made up all the names and everything, and then put whoever over. I know it seems kind of silly, but it was like I was really into doing it. I was totally inspired by Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. It had names like, I'll give you a few, like Trevor Knight and Drake Castle and what Green Man, the Green Man that you see like on the side of trees and stuff. I had a character called Green Man who would be like all like green skin with the ivy vines covering them and all that. And I just created all these characters, you know. And some of them I aped from other wrestlers. I just sort of combined names. Like I had a wrestler, Kendall Gordy, you know, sort of a mixture of, yeah. So, you know, it wasn't all original stuff. I was sort of like mix up names and this and that. But I would do results. I had my own promotion, New England Wrestling Promotion, right? And I would just like, I had my own, like, it was like a TV show, a non-existent TV show, and I would write the results to it. When I was bored, I would just write the results. So that's kind of where Ernest K. Fabian came from. But eventually, I went into the photos. I went to that one-shot show in Springfield, and I met Tom Burke for the first time. Of course, you've had Tom Burke on this show, and he was quite a collection. And you'd be very privileged that you were invited into his home to see that collection, because he doesn't show that to just anybody. You know,
I'm supposed to go back, but with our times, I haven't been able to make it back. We're gonna do a continuing series. I'm gonna go back. He's gonna be opening the vault and showing us more stuff. I gotta actually message Mr. Burke and check on him, because it's been a little bit and we haven't corresponded in a little while.
So I met Tom for the first time at that show. Now, the very second Ernest K. Fabian I did was for a Carnival Wrestling Experience. And that was basically the promoter. I don't think the promoter was Kevin Landry, but most of the people working the show were students at Kevin's school. And I met a lot of guys at that show, and that would be the second Ernest K. Fabian. Then eventually Blake sold New Age Old Time to Tunis, of course. The rest is history. It became Pioneer Valley Pro, and I started doing match reports there, and I started traveling around more doing the match reports. And the match reports started to get over a little bit. I put a lot of love into them, a lot of time, because I'm not a touch typer, you know. I'm a hunt and pecker, and I just hunt hour after hour, just taking the notes and hunting and pecking, and just, you know, whole Sunday morning spent doing that. And you know, it kind of caught on, kind of got over a little bit, so I started doing more and more shows. Eventually, I got an invite from a man named Mr. Leary to come and do his show. He said that if I were willing to sit in the back, that he'd let me in. You know, I wouldn't have to pay or whatever. I said, nah, man, I'll pay to get in. I gotta sit ringside, man. Back then, I couldn't see myself being anywhere but ringside. I just couldn't see myself sitting in the back. I loved it so much. I loved being so close to the action. And over time, I sophisticated with photography. And I started getting up out of my seat a little bit more, getting a little closer to the ring, getting a little more daring. You know, going a pair and just saying, "Nah, man, I gotta get some better shots, man. I'm just not getting any decent shots where I'm sitting." And eventually, that led to, and you became a big inspiration, because eventually you started doing a lot of filming and doing the GIF that you were doing the gifts or whatever and doing all that. So you inspired me to pick up a video camera and start filming
Oh,
stuff to post.
wow.
You're a big inspiration to me in that way. You always inspired me to do better and better work, you know. Now, I got to a point about back in July where I said, well, you know, during this kayfabian thing is starting to feel like a chore. And, you know, I mean, how many guys who are just fans can say that, well, they have a move of the week on center ring, they have what the of the week on center ring, both as the guy who filmed it and the guy who was it. Uh, Filmed my what the week, I believe, me giving that, giving, who was that, a chop? One of the guys, I think it was a main state posse guy I gave a chop to. Remember that? Film that? That was
Yeah,
a
I do.
center ring, yeah. And then I had a move of the week on center ring when I took a little bump where I got my head put in a post by mistake by Wrecking Ball and Gursky. I said I got my head put in a post by Wrecking Ball. How many? Yeah, there you go. All will fall, right? And that, you know, I mean, not a lot of fans can say that they've had both a move of the week and what those of the week, both as filming it and as the guy it was about on center ring. Not many. So the thing that I originally became known for wasn't the photography or the Ernest K. Faber or anything like that. I designed some belts that I had commissioned and built, and I donated them all to Pioneer Valley Pro over the course of about a year. So the original Pioneer Valley Pro heavyweight belt was mine. The original tag team belts with the diamond plate on them, that was my design. And then that woman's belt, they're still using the heavyweight belt, I think. They stopped using the tag team belts. I don't know what happened to them. I think they fell apart too much or whatever, got a little too ring worn to use. But they still use the women's belt, which I inspired by Mecca, who's no longer wrestling, unfortunately. I always liked Mecca, Maximum Mecca. It would be Scotty Wild, girlfriend. It's called the Harlequin, and it has all the card suits and stuff on it, and it's kind of a feminine looking belt. But I wanted to make a woman's belt that looked like a woman's belt, and that I made it with Mecca as my inspiration. I just wish she still wrestled because I don't know.
I came in after Mecca was in, but I'm aware of Mecca, and I've seen some of her stuff because of the footage from Center Ring and whatnot that Fog has had throughout the years. But yeah, I know of Mecca, but I came after Mecca, you know?
Other than having footage up on Center Ring, I've never been a guest on the show. I'd love to come on sometime. It's just so far from my area. I have been a call-in guest multiple times on a show called Center Ring. That called Squared Circle. Sorry, and the Squared Circle. I don't know if they still exist, but I used to be a regular guest on their show as a call-in guest, and there were a couple of guys, you know, Jason and. It's a pretty decent host, and it wasn't a bad show. And you know, I could kind of put that on my resume of having been a regular call-in guest on that show. But the thing I'm, you know, proudest of at this point isn't any of that. I mean, you know, being Catools or being on this kayfabe or whatnot. It's like the fact that, like, back in July, I just said, man, it just wasn't enough for me. All that just wasn't enough. I had to do so. I wanted to do more. I wanted to be more. So I decided. I hit up a man we know as Chi and said, Chi, I want to become a referee. And so I went to Cheese, started going to Cheese boot camping. When I tell you it's a boot camp, it's a boot camp. And I was learning things I could do with my body that I never knew I could do physically. It's like I learned some of my limitations physically, and I learned some of the things I could do physically I never knew I could do. And things that haven't been seen by the public yet that I can do, but hopefully eventually. Now, I have taken a bump, and that was a little bit of a forearm in the back of the neck, courtesy of five-star Jace, and that kind of.
We call him 1-star. You can call him 1-star, Chase. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, you that has to work in the ring with him, so maybe I better not.
That's true. That's a very good point. But before we get too ahead of yourself there, I'd like to kind of pause right there with the training with Chi. Now, they say if you want to be, in that ring, you want to be part of the action. If you want to be a referee, it doesn't matter. Even if you don't want to be a wrestler, you still got to get in that ring. You got to learn how to bump. You've got to know how to do specific things. So you kind of get a better sense of what the men and women are actually going through. And it kind of helps you out psychology wise in the wrestling. Am I correct on saying that? I think I can't hear what you're saying. I don't. I I can't. I don't know. I think we're having technical difficulties. Bugger. I'm gonna try something. It might be my end. I don't know. So I'm gonna try something here. This. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. I can't. No. I'm gonna call you back.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Sorry, we hit a little bump in the road. So we were talking about making sure you get training and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, the thing about learning bumps is that it's a necessary evil, though, like they say about lead singers, is more evil than necessary. um, I do it because I have to do it. I don't love it. I had to learn to do it. There's some I'm better at than others. They're all a bit hard on my neck. My neck more than my back. Always had a pretty strong back. A little out of shape right now because of everything that's going on. I can't, kind of itching to get back in the ring and start training again, doing some more bumps. Even though, like I say, they don't always agree with me, I have ways now that I mitigate the damage to me physically. Using infrared light therapy helps. Of course, there's something to be said for ibuprofen, but it's not the best thing for your liver or stomach. So I'm looking at more alternative and holistic ways of mitigating the pain of learning bumps. And I do them, like I said, I don't love them, but like they're necessary. And if you want to get in the ring, even if it's just a referee, you got to learn to do it. You just have to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I do.
Now, getting to train at Kevin Landry's combine up in Holyoke, they have a fine facility up there. A lot of equipment at the ready right there. They've got punching bags. They've got the ring, the whole 9 yards. It's a pretty cool setup over there.
It's a great place. It's a great place to train. The people I train with are just the best people. They're very patient. They're very understanding. When you mess up, they tell you. They let you know. But they're just the best guys. I mean, I could shout out all of them. Abe, Marcus, even guys like, Israel and Noah and Brienne and Cody, and I miss all those guys. I miss all those guys. Stevie and Callum and Ernie.
Hey, let's not get carried away. Stevie's part of the bike club. We don't miss the bike club very much, so let's not get carried away there, sir.
When you work with guys, though, they become your brother. No matter who they are, they're just your brothers, man. You love them. You love them unconditionally, even when they piss you off. Can I say that? Can I use language like that? I don't know. It is YouTube, so.
Yeah. Hey, we speak freely on the show. It's just fine.
Awesome. I'm not usually one to give into a lot of profanity anyway, but
no, I can't say that I've really heard you swear. I swear like a sailor. I can't really say I've ever heard you swear much.
Never been much one. I grew up with parents that swore a lot, and I sort of sort of decided that wasn't me, and just went my own path. You took a sip, so I'm going to have some of this wonderful seltzer.
So you've been pretty much, I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say that Shut Up and Wrestle, they've started up and they are 6 shows deep. We are at Shut Up and Wrestle 6 was the last one. And that's pretty much, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's your home base there because that's the training facility you've started at. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much where I've seen you do most of your stuff. Yep. Is that correct on saying?
Yep. I have, my first show was a New Age show. You might remember that. And then I did a show with New England Wrestling Superstars. I'm considered to be on their roster, so their next show I'll be working. Okay. Probably with Q, I guess. Q the rep will be there. Now, there's a secret about him. He's training to be a wrestler.
You know, he's thrown some tidbits at me like that, and he's flipping me out right now because he's pretty jacked. I'm scared of that dude, man.
Q? Yeah, man. Yeah. It's like he want to pick up my physical game a little bit, start lifting weights again, and this and that. Like, you know, I say, like, we could be a tag team, man. The Chrome Dome.
Ooh, hey, but if you're gonna get in there, you gotta take way more bumps than you ever have, sir. I don't know. I lost you. I cannot hear you. I can't hear you again. What the hell is going on? Hold on.
So,
we are back. We are back.
After our 2 commercial breaks and there are non-commercial breaks. So, yeah, you know, and the secret is that I wish Q all the best as becoming a wrestler, especially the fact that it might give me a little more work as a ref. So all the better. And that's a joke. I mean, I love Q. I love working with Q. He's a great ref, too. He showed me a few things. And, like, he went to having a way more experience than me really quickly. So I have all the respect in the world for Q, and I wish him all the best of luck in his goal becoming a wrestler.
Now, behind the curtain, in the locker room, if you will, there's a brotherhood, a sisterhood, if you will. Now, the referees, do you find yourself part of that whole brotherhood, sisterhood thing, or is it kind of more of a clique with the referees? Because I don't know what goes on back there. I don't want to know what goes on back there.
Well, if you don't want to know what goes on back there, then why should I tell you anything?
Just tell me anyways.
Tell you anyways. Look, if you're in the show, you are a brother or a sister. It doesn't matter if you're a zebra. It doesn't matter if you're a worker. It doesn't matter if you're a manager. If you're a part of the show, you're a brother and a sister. And that's all. The show is the thing. The show is what's important. It doesn't have to do with any individual egos. If you make it about your ego, then people aren't going to like you or talk to you. They're not going to want to book you. You go in, you do what you're told you're going to do. You don't argue. And it's as simple as that. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood. It's a show, man. And like they say, like, the play is the thing. Well, it's true in pro wrestling. The play is the thing, man. The show is the thing, and the show is what's most important. The only thing that's just as important as the show are you guys, the fans. Because if it weren't for you guys coming to the shows, buying the merch, supporting the indie scene, there wouldn't be an indie scene, man. We love you guys. Thank you so much, Dom, for everything.
Well, I appreciate that, love, because between us, the fans, the wrestlers, and that whole performance that's going on in the ring, we have such an amazing time doing that whole back and forth thing. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I like hooting and hollering a little bit.
I think people notice. Now, when I'm in the ring, I try not to hear it, you know, unless it's something I need to hear. And there are occasions when I need to hear it because I can react in a way that enhances what's going on in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We talk about that a lot with when a wrestler comes out of the curtain. When we do our little thing that we do, may it be boo, cheer, a chant of some kind, it's hard to develop that hearing us tool of being a wrestler and or a referee or whatever, because you're all part of that performance. So hearing us is a big part of being that package. And I think it's a vital point of, a part of that whole thing. Wouldn't you have to say?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fans in some ways are part of the show as well because we feed off the reaction of the fans.
Mm-hmm.
We feed off that, I mean, when you get in and you ring and you hear those cheers and you hear those boos, man, it just gives you energy. It pumps you up, because you know that somebody's reacting, It does pump you up, It gives you energy to get through it, And I tell you, when I get in the ring, I have to take deep breaths because I don't want to get nervous. I don't want to feel like I have stage fright or whatever. And the main thing, especially if you're going to be a ref, you've got to be so focused. I mean, you've got to be so focused on what you're doing because it's so easy to miss something, miss a spot that's vital to what's going on in the ring. So you have to be totally focused. You can't let your mind wander even for a nanosecond. You have to totally be focused. So, so when you're focused and when you're on, and you do it right, and you hit all your spots, and the wrestlers are on, and the match goes well, it's like magic, man. The fans feed off of that, and we in turn feed off the fans, and it's all one big thing.
And now the communication, as you're doing the performance on a specific match, the communication between the ref, and I don't care if there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 wrestlers, whatever, you all have to communicate, and it's very, very vital to get that whole thing together.
It's very vital, and it mainly consists of the wrestlers communicating with me, okay, telling me where they need me to be, and telling each other where what's coming next. Mm-hmm. And this is the single most important thing. I have to hear them. I have to respond. I have to be able to respond like in a heartbeat, literally sometimes, because you don't always know where it's going to, go until it goes there, So you got to be just right on it.
Now, I'm just going to have to say, you're no spring chicken. What the hell are you doing becoming a ref at this point in your life?
Man, I just had to live the dream, I was getting burned out with Ernest K. Fabian. It was feeling more like a chore. And, I took pretty much every kind of photograph I could ever want to take, every move, I think. And, it's like the YouTube channel. It's still getting subscriptions. I haven't put anything up on it in a long time. But it was sort of starting to feel stale. And I just said to myself, man, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to talk to Chi or talk to somebody, and then I'm just going to get trained, and I'm going to try being a ref. I have to do it. I had to do it to my heart, just because I love the dream.
How was the acceptance from when now people know you, obviously, in the industry? People know you from show to show. They know what you do and the whole bit. How accepting are they to see you make that transition going from a photographer to being a wrestler, and now you're training in the same ring with some of these same men and women you've been taking pictures of for years?
It's not universal across the board. Some people are very accepting and very loving. Some people are completely indifferent. And saying that, I'm not going to say anybody's, particular at all, of who's been more accepting than others. Some completely unaccepting, or just indifferent, I would say.
Right.
Nobody has really discouraged me at all. I've gotten some encouragement from quarters. I never expected to get it, but I've not gotten any discouragement from anybody, and that's just being honest. Everybody has been supportive. The fans have been very loving. Shout out to some of my favorites, Dawn Barrett, Got to shout her out. Very, very loving. Larry Boucher, great guy. Says I'm doing, always compliments me. Even Rawl, the Beast. I can't believe I'm shouting him out, but sort of in his own kind of beastly way, I suppose. They've all been very kind. Bogman has been very respectful, has respected my wishes on certain things that I asked from him. I won't go into detail with that, but it has to do with old nicknames. I think you know. And because I'm trying to, change my identity. I'm trying to go from being one thing to another, and it helps to just, let go of all that old stuff and just focus on what's now, which is being the best Charlie I can be, being as focused and as hard hitting as I can be when I hit that ring, and being right on. I mean, you've seen me dive to that mat when I'm making a count, man. I'm like I'm springing down like a panther, man. I get like at my, I'm trying to toot my own horn here. Forgive me, but I got to toot my horn a little bit, just because at my age, to move like I move in the ring and doing the stuff I do. It's like a lot of guys can't say that if that be in their early 50s and doing this stuff. They just can't do it.
That's kind of where I was going, because you're jumping in way late in the game, and it doesn't matter if you're a wrestler, a referee, an announcer, no matter what it is, because there is no part in wrestling that's an easy job to do. Not one. There ain't one out there.
Even sometimes, even a ring announcer will get hit sometimes, or get attacked. I've seen it. I've seen Matthew James get attacked. I've seen a lot of those guys, ring announcers, get attacked. I've seen plenty of referees get attacked, get hurt, get beaten up, really bad. I've been blessed. I've taken a little forearm in the back from 5-star Cayce. That's nothing. I've had certain guys in the bike club try to act all tough and push me around before a match, flash their little teeth at me. You know what I mean, flashing those teeth at me, hissing at me and whatnot. And I have to back up from them a little bit because I don't like them hissing at me. Yeah, those guys, 7, yeah. See, I'm the one who's got to step in the ring with them, so I can't really complain too much about them because I don't want to. I want to get in. I want to call it by the book, man. I want to do it by the numbers, and I want to just not get hurt and then get out, and I just want to hear the fans, and I want to entertain, man. I want to be the best ref I can be, best Charlie Cayce I can be. And every time I go in the ring, I go in like it's the last time I'm ever going to go in. I have to have that attitude because it could be. You never know. In this business, anything can happen. Anything can change.
That's for sure.
And it does too. I mean, you've been in the scene long enough to know that the injuries are very real, and you see guys come and go. And some guys, they go not because of injuries, but for other reasons. Some I agree with less than others. Has to do with things like egos and not liking one's spot and not knowing one's role. And I think the greatest, and I know this is cliche, but I think The Rock said the greatest bit of wisdom is when he said, know your role and shut your mouth. That is so absolute. When you get in the business and you learn and you're in the ring, you learn that is the truth. You know your role and you shut your mouth. You don't complain. You don't be an asshole, as we said. Don't be an asshole. And that's the main thing if you want to be successful, is to not be an asshole. And to know that when you go back in that locker room and you see the roster for the night and you see what you're doing, to not complain about it, to just accept it. Thank the promoter. Thank the guys you're working with. Thank the booker. Thank everybody in that locker room for giving you a shot and using you on that card, man. Because they don't have to use you. They could always use somebody else.
Absolutely. Now, you're young, and your referee career is for your career is young. You've had, could you tell us about? Have you kept count? How many matches have you done so far? Ay. Well, we had another commercial. There was some Frosted Flakes, some Lucky Charms action. We're
Yep.
back.
I like the green clovers.
I was talking. How many bouts do you have under your belt right now?
I have between 15 and 20, I'd say, which isn't a whole lot, but I'm still very new. I've only done like 8 to 10 shows at this point, and they're kind of spread out. But I've had a lot of shows get canceled on me that I've had booked. I had a show up in Vermont that got canceled because of the weather. That would be Northeast Kingdom Federation. I'm still on their roster. I don't know when they're going to have a show. So me and Bill, that guy, yeah. That guy, Bill, me and him are the zebras on that roster. I'm not going into New Age right now. I did a show with them. Don't really want to talk about them right now, though. But I do have New England Wrestling Superstars. Hopefully another one of them will be coming up. The last show I did with them, and not many guys can say this, I was the only referee and I was the ring announcer. So I did it all at that show.
What?
Yeah, I was the ring announcer, did that very well, and I was also the only referee, so I did the whole show basically.
What the heck? I don't even know how I missed that last one, man. You were the ring announcer and the referee for the entire show.
Yes.
I've never heard of such a thing. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I only wish they would release that on video. I've seen it.
Yeah, because don't they have like the cameras and stuff that they record everything with?
They do, but
I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know.
Strange.
I don't know what's going on. We've mentioned Ref Bill a couple times. Maybe he's hacking my shit.
Maybe. He doesn't like you very much.
No, he doesn't. He kicks me every chance he gets. So before this continues, and I don't know what the hell is going on, but we definitely can't have a good conversation with this bouncing around stuff. So, referee Charlie Cayce, from here, when we all come back, is there any other promotions that you might have your eyes set on that you'd really like to do some work at?
Well, I wouldn't mind doing Battlefront. They'd have me sometime. Got to shout out Battlefront. They're always really kind to me when I was doing photography, and they always were Ernest K. Fabian fans. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, any of them, any promotion in Western Mass and Connecticut that'd have me. I'd love to do a Test of Strength Training Day show. I've been thinking about hitting up Wagner about coming down and maybe doing a prelim match or something with those guys. There's so many promotions. The scene is booming. Well, was booming so much until recently with everything going on. Which is just terrible. It's just wrecked everything and it's just changed everything so much so quickly.
Yeah.
I'd love to work for any of those guys. I'd love to do Test of Strength. I'd love to do Battlefront. I'd even do Blitzkrieg if they'd have me. I'd do a PvP or Western Mass Wrestling if they would have me. I would need with them. I would probably need to come and help them set up the ring for about a year or two before I get a match. But I'm willing to pay those dues. Because a lot of people, most people pay those dues, and I've been very fortunate, to have Shut Up and Wrestle, to have New England Wrestling Superstars, to have that New Age show I did where I came in and got some experience setting up and with New Age, and that was a good thing. It helped me get some experience, behind the scenes, and not just in the ring, which is also very important, is to learn the business, to learn how to set up that ring, and to learn how to do all those things. A lot of people don't realize how important. I mean, there's no match without the ring, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And again, like you were saying, paying your dues, get there early, shake all the hands, introduce yourself, help set up the ring, put up some chairs, sweep if you have to, help the concessions, whatever you can kind of get your hands in when you're at a show, try to do, right?
Absolutely. Everything helps. The more hats you wear, the better off you are, especially if you're a non-wrestler. The more things you're skilled at as a non-wrestler, even as a referee. I did a turn, like I said, with New England Wrestling Superstars as a ring announcer at the same time I was a referee. If you can do that, if you can help set up the ring, if you can help with concessions, anything you can do, even if it's just, shaking hands and helping the fans to their seats or whatever they need you doing, taking money for tickets, giving out tickets, doing the armband, the wristbands on people, when they're coming in. Because sometimes or putting the X on their hand if they're a more primitive outfit. Sometimes they'll set up, they'll do the old X on the hand thing. That's why I keep a box of Sharpies out in the car. I went to a Bryce Remsburg seminar, and he's a guy, you learn a lot going to a seminar with a guy like Bryce Remsburg. And his exact words were, wear many hats. The more skills you have, the more you can do, the more valuable you become, especially in a non-physical role. And they consider, and this is the thing, they consider a referee a non-physical role. Well, let me dispel that mythology. Being a referee is a very physical role. And not just physically physical. You have to be sharp as a tack mentally. I just can't understand a guy who could get in the ring high at all. Get in the ring, haven't had a drink or a smoke or anything like that. I just don't understand how anybody could ever do that, because, man, when I get in the ring, I have to be sharp as a tack. My mind has to be as clear as an unmuddied lake, just totally on, totally focused on what I'm doing. And because I want to give my 100%. I want to give my all to every match I ref, like it's the last match I'm ever going to ref.
Absolutely. So when we get back from all of this mess, I hope to see you reach out to as many promotions, because the more you reach out to, the more we get to see on. And sometimes you don't always get a yes, but you might get that one yes that you were like, oh yeah, now I can go do that. And they kind of sprinkle in over time. So I can't wait to see you in the ring more, because, man, you're a lot of fun watching reffing, and I'm glad to see that transition. I did not expect that at all.
Very few people did. It was a big shock to a lot of people. But like I said, not one single person has discouraged me. I've either gotten tons of encouragement or complete indifference.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
So
all you need is a little bit of support system from behind those curtains, and it doesn't take much to really, like you said, you got to stay sharp. So to keep this up there, that support system you have from your brothers and sisters, that's a very vital part of the whole thing to really keep you motivated,
Yep. And you go back 40 years, when I was 10 years old, and my dad got cable for the first time. I was living in Birmingham, Alabama. And back then, it was just a box with a slide thing. You slid back and forth to change the channels.
Yeah.
And, I kid you not, man. And I remember turning on that TV one day, and it was a big deal to have 13 channels back then, because there were only 13 channels on the cable when we got it. And this would probably be around 78, 79. And there was a show. There was a channel called WTCG. And this was an independent station out of Atlanta, Georgia, okay? And they had a show on this channel called Georgia Championship Wrestling. And I remember watching it for the first time, being that 10 or 11-year-old kid, and being transfixed by characters like Tommy Rich, Wahoo McDaniels, and being transfixed and watching guys like, here's an obscure one for you, the Candyman, Ray Candy, and and Ron Bass, and Dick Slater, and the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, and watching those guys beat up guys whose names I can't remember week after week, and having my dad come in one day and say, oh, yeah, that's all fake, but watching it anyway, and watching it anyway, not caring, and he would say things like, son, if what they were doing was real, they'd all be paraplegics now. not caring, I'd watch it anyway. I just loved it, and as I grew older and eventually WTCG got bought up by a guy named Ted Turner and became WTBS, and that became World Championship Wrestling with Crockett Promotions out of the Carolinas, and watching that every Saturday night and every Sunday night from 6 to 8, and just like I would beg my dad, oh Dad, can I eat in the den tonight? Can I have and please in the den just so I can watch, the Nature Boy and the Four Horsemen and watch all those guys, and Magnum TA, and just been a fan my whole life. By that point, I was, had a little bit of disposable cash. I was buying wrestling mags, wishing I could be that guy at the side of the ring taking pictures. But eventually I became that guy on the indie scene, and now I'm doing what I love to do as Charlie Cayce, getting in the ring, reffing matches, being a part of the show. Don't want to be anywhere else now. Just love it. Lifetime fan, man.
Now, before we do let you go, I would love to find out the origin of the name Ref Charlie Cayce. What is that about? I've been waiting to ask you that since the beginning of this.
Well, my real last name is kind of hard to pronounce, and everybody gets it wrong. It's Catholi. It's pronounced Catholi, and it's actually a shortened Greek name. And I needed a name that was catchy, but Charlie Cayce, because I'm on the case. But then to spell it C-A-S-E doesn't really look like a name. So since I think there was something kind of magical about me getting trained and getting in the ring at my age, I decided to kind of base my name on a famous 19th century spiritualist, Edgar Cayce. And I believe his name is actually pronounced Edgar Cayce. But I sort of thought Charlie Cayce sounds a little bit much like a wrestler. So I'll just go with Charlie Cayce and just have the E be silent. And I thought it was a pretty good name, not too much of a wrestler name. Sort of sounds like could be a ref name. So that's the name I went, and that's kind of the origin of the name. It went with that name as a necessity because my real name, which is a shortened Greek name, is just too hard for people to remember. That's the truth, and I swear by it.
How long do you see yourself doing this whole referee thing, sir?
As long as I get booked. If I keep getting booked, I'll keep doing it. And I never want to stop training, man. I get just as much fun out of working practice matches at the combine as I do getting in the ring in front of an audience and doing a show. Even if all I ever did was work practice matches, man, I just love it. I just love getting in the ring and working with the guys and gals and being part of a show, being part of something that I love. And until you do it, man, I just can't describe it. It's a rush, it's a high. Once you do it, you just want to do it again and again. I dream about it. Literally, I dream about getting in the ring and practicing bumps and things like that. I dream that I do bumps that I'm no good at and do them well, like handstand bump. Yep. But the first dream I ever had about wrestling was actually long, long before. I dreamed that William King III was trying to teach me how to do a forward roll.
Really?
And this was back about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. And then I got in the ring and she taught me how to do a front roll, and I did it. And I'm like, I did it. I can't believe it. I can do a somersault at my age, man, because you learn that it separates you. You learn that what you can do and what you can't do. You learn your physical limitations when you step in that ring. I learned that I could do things I never imagined I could do, and that alone makes this whole experience worth its weight in gold. Just to know that at my age I could get in there and execute a forward somersault. That now I don't see myself ever being like Luca and being able to do a triple back jump. Did you see that footage of Luca doing that triple back? Oh my God. That guy, Luca, man, he is one of the most talented guys I think that I have ever seen. And they're physically just so talented. He's just so agile. and quick, and he just doesn't do stuff. I mean, he is like a consummate luchador. If I were to give, and he's one of my favorite guys to work with because he keeps me on my toes. He's so quick that I have to be quick. You know, he's so fast that I have to be all the more attentive when I work with him because, man, it's like that old thing that when Jim Ross asked what's faster than a hiccup, he was talking about Dean Malenko. Well, that's Nuka, man, faster than a hiccup. Swear to God. Dean Malenko too, of course, but yeah, Nuka faster than a hiccup. He's one of my favorite guys to work with.
I'm glad you mentioned that video because we, the fans, we thought that Chris Cannon literally killed him. So to see that video come out, I was very happy to see he was alive.
I think everybody is. And that Chris Cannon, wow. What's up with that guy?
Dude, my goodness.
Scared me to death. I've been in the ring with him once. I was in the ring with him. Scared me half to death.
Better you than me. That's all I'm saying. Better you than me, my friend.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. When you're reffing a Chris Cannon match, you stay out of his way.
You better, because you're going to end up looking like Nuka.
Yeah, you stay out of his way. I think that Chris Cannon will get his comeuppance in the end. I think that Nuka, you know, he's got that miss going for him, man. I think he just needs to hit Cannon with that miss once, and then teach him a little bit of a lesson.
I don't know. I don't know. He might have to take that out of his repertoire with this whole freaking King COVID thing going on. You can't be going and spitting on people's faces like that anymore.
This is true. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good thought, Don. Yeah, you're probably right.
What the hell is he going to do?
Yeah, wow, and it's a horrible thing to talk about that, you know, when we're talking about the greatest sport on earth, the king of sport.
I know, but it's what's going on right now, you know. So now you have to adjust a little bit.
And how it's going to affect the indie scene in the long term, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm hoping that we get a handle on it, that they either come up with a vaccine or a treatment more quickly, and that we, they start having shows back to normal again. Because, man, I sure miss the scene. Being stuck in your home or just being able to go for a walk on your property or on the local trail and lift weights. It gets old after a while. Watching videos gets old, you know, playing, you know, and I love my girlfriend, you know, and playing cards with her and whatnot. But you just, when you're not in the ring for a long time, you know, you just itch to get in. I dream about it at night. I dream about getting in the ring. You know, I dream about practicing bumps, and I dream about it. And I wake up and I'm like, oh, damn, I'm not in the ring. I had a play this week.
Well, but, hopefully sooner than later, we can all reconnect.
So hopefully on May 8th, if all goes well, there'll be a show at Landry's. Shut Up and Wrestle 7. And hopefully, I got my fingers crossed, they'll have me on for a match, even though I might, you know, I'm hopefully don't have too much ring rust after being out for a month. But it's a matter of, you know, getting the gym open again, getting people back in there, training, and getting back in the ring, working practice matches, and just getting resharpened, getting rehoned, getting a little bit of punch off of me, you know, from sitting around so much through this thing. I've been trying to get out and hike and lift a few weights. I'm about to next week, I'll be doing a 3-day fast, water fast, to sort of reboot my system, get some of the toxins out. And because I have time. I mean, when you got time to do something like that, you should. And boy, do I think we all have more time on our hands than we'd like right now. I think you hate your job, you miss work. But I got to let you go now, Don. Thank you so much, because my girlfriend has something going on with her stuff, and she's got this video meeting going on. So,
all right,
it's been a real privilege to be on your show. I love you, man.
Absolutely, reciprocated, my friend. I can't wait to see what the future brings to Ref Charlie Cayce, one of our fine zebras on our industry right now. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Ref Charlie Cayce. I can't believe I had him on my show.